Limbo was shot in a really interesting way. I loved the way they used the reverse, sort of rewind function. Like they had a lot of their actions shot in reverse, which I thought was cool because they made it look like he was moving forward when in fact it was the actor moving backwards in reverse. I loved the like glitching effects within this film. It all was sort of pulled together with the like heavy metal music that was played. I thought that was cool. It was almost abrasive, the way it was shot and the tone and the music all together sort of like hits you. And then there's a few moments in this film where it gets quiet and you're pulled into the scene and to read, there's messages, there's like a different sort of calming music, and then we come back to the sort of abrasive heavy metal. That was interesting. I liked the fighting with yourself aspect. I thought that the set pieces and like the lighting and the sets were all really cool, especially when they lit the piano on fire. I thought that was amazing. And the fighting in this, in a way, was graceful, even though it was in this abrasive sort of fighting atmosphere. I thought that was really beautiful. And also the fact that this film was a loop in a way, because it loops back at the end to the beginning scene. I thought was a really cool way to do it, and I really enjoyed this film.
Hi, these are my comments on Limbo. This was a really arresting short. I, first of all, really love the 3-act structure. It's really clean and really clear. And also like the way it was shot, the editing. I love the way that you could never really tell if it was being shot like chronologically or backwards. And the way it kind of moved in and out of that quality was really effective with not only like the themes and the plot, but just like made it really interesting to watch and made you continue to lean in, as well as the music choice. I think the music choice was excellent. I love both the vocals and as you transition between acts, there's a really excellent use of silence that when you juxtapose that with the music choice was really, really effective. And then that one of those final images, the piano on fire, like what an amazing image. And again, it's being shot backward. It's being shot backwards, but you have a difficult time discerning that. And there's so much great stage choreography happening between the fights and the music and the musician and the fire. Like it felt really intricate and really well planned and thought out. I think also in moving into Act 2, there's the camera quality of them going in and out of darkness and being chased, and then also chasing. Those things were really effective, really creepy, really atmospheric. I thought overall it was really successful.
The fact that this ends with part 1 is quite intriguing because it does actually leave you wanting more. This is a film that at first you're not sure what's going on, but thanks to the music and the intense vibe of it, you just can't look away because you're actually wondering what is going on, and it does make you feel like you're in a state of limbo, which I think the character was. The metaphors between that this was probably not a good guy and yet he doesn't know who he is does make you feel like limbo, and the idea of fire makes it suggest that is what gives the indication that he probably wasn't a good guy, and when he gets out of limbo, he's probably not going to go to a very happy place. The score in the dark nature of the film made it very intense, and it's why you couldn't look away from this film. It was quite amazing. Though I couldn't really understand what the words were saying to the lyrics, it did have a vibe that just kind of pulled you in as this guy was running, and you knew something wasn't happening, and the fact that it ends with part 1 makes you know that something more is coming, and you do want to feel the completion to this film, whether it's in 2 parts or 3 or however long it takes.
Limbo. The music created that high intensity pressure in your head when the stakes are so high where it's almost deafening. You can't ignore this feeling and this sound inside you. Almost, for me, a visceral experience, which is a great thing to be able to transfer onto your audience. Love loved the layering effect and a really interesting concept of the idea of us being our own worst enemy, which, yeah, I can relate. But I thought it was really, really well crafted and great pacing throughout.
Limbo is really interesting. I think that it's cool that you left it off at kind of like a cliffhanger, having it be sequestered off into parts. I think it's kind of a good representation of where this character is at, and that there's like more to grow from, that they are also in this state of limbo and they don't know what kind of person that they are, and there's just not a lot of room for them to figure out where they are in life and what they're doing, and they have to figure that out, and it really increases the stakes for this character, which is really fun to watch. Overall, it was a really interesting piece. There are a lot of really interesting angles that you take on this, and I think it does draw the audience in and wants to see if this character gets out of limbo and if there is any sort of redemption for them. So I'm really excited to see where this goes, and really well done.
Limbo does a fascinating job of bringing that liminal afterlife space to visceral life. It kind of starts with these big red flashing texts, which for me really evoked Gaspar Noé's Enter the Void, which is like a perfect reference point for this film. And text like keeps flashing up during the film. It makes it kind of feel almost subliminal, almost like you're being hypnotizing, or almost like the film's hypnotizing you, which is really cool. And then it's like, this really impressive long take at the beginning, which just constantly pulls you in, and it really helps you to feel the claustrophobia and the confusion of being in this limbo space. And there's lots of techniques, from choreography to the use of colour to the set design, and even some really cool VFX that really make this place like a kind of maddening, hellish limbo. You kind of feel trapped and you want to escape, but because the film is so interesting and engaging to look at, you also don't want to leave, which I think is a really interesting and kind of perfect way to bring the idea of limbo to life.